The cafeteria of university was loud and busy. Students talked, laughed, and argued about exams and professors. Trays clattered against tables. Someone dropped a glass and everyone cheered. It was a normal afternoon in Seoul in the year 2187. But in the corner near the window sat a girl who was not normal at all. Her name was. She had long black hair that fell past her shoulders and a face that showed no emotion. She wore simple clothes, a gray sweater and dark jeans, and she sat alone with earbuds in her ears. In front of her was a worn notebook filled with sketches. She drew without looking up, her pencil moving in slow, careful lines. No one sat with her, no one ever did. Had been a student at this university for 2 years. In all that time, nobody had heard her speak a single word, not in class, not in the hallways, not anywhere. Some students thought she was mute. Others said she had experienced something terrible and lost her voice. A few called her creepy and stayed away. The truth was much stranger than any of them could imagine. Across the cafeteria, a young man named watched her. He was 22 years old, studying engineering, and he had a kind face with warm eyes. He had noticed months ago, and something about her made him curious. She always looked so alone, so empty. It bothered him in a way he could not explain. Today, he decided to do something about it. He picked up his tray and walked across the cafeteria. Students glanced at him with surprise as he approached the silent girl's table. He pulled out the chair across from her and sat down. Did not look up. Her pencil kept moving. "Hi," said cheerfully. I've seen you around campus. You're always alone, so I thought maybe you could use some company." No response. The pencil scratched against paper. "I'm in the engineering department," he continued, not discouraged. "3rd year. The professors are killing us with assignments this semester. Do you have Professor Park for anything? That man has no mercy, I swear." His hand paused for just a moment. Then she continued drawing. Smiled. He took this as a good sign. "You don't have to talk. I talk enough for 2 people anyway. My mother always said I could make friends with a brick wall." He ate his lunch and chatted about random things. The weather, a funny thing that happened in his dorm, a movie he had watched recently. Never responded, never looked at him, but she also never left. When finished eating, he stood up and smiled at her. "Same time tomorrow?" he asked. His eyes flickered up to meet his for just a second. Dark eyes, deep and unreadable. Then she looked back down at her notebook. Took this as a yes. Far above the earth, beyond the clouds and the blue sky, a ship hung in the darkness of space. It was not a human ship. Its design was sharp and angular, like a blade made of black metal. Strange symbols covered its surface. Inside, creatures that were definitely not human moved through narrow corridors. They were tall beings with gray skin, 4 arms, and eyes like burning coals. They had conquered dozens of worlds. They feared nothing in the galaxy. Except one thing. In the command center, a screen showed an image. It was a photograph of a young woman with long black hair and empty eyes. The word beneath the image was written in the common galactic language, "Target." An officer studied the image. "This is the one, this small human female." "Do not underestimate her," another officer warned. His voice was hard with old fear. "She is called the Silence. She has killed more of our warriors than any army. Commander lost 3 generals to her blade. 3. She looks like a child. She is a monster wearing human skin. We send our best team. We take no chances." The first officer nodded slowly. "Where is she?" "Earth, a city called Seoul. She hides among the humans, pretending to be ordinary." "Then we will find her, and we will end her." The ship changed course, moving toward the small blue planet in the distance. That night walked home alone. The streets were quiet and dark. Orange lights from shops and apartments painted the sidewalk in patches of color. Her earbuds were in, playing soft music, and her hands were buried in her pockets. She looked like any other university student returning from a late study session. Then she stopped. 3 figures stepped out of the shadows ahead of her. They were tall, much taller than any human. Their bodies were hidden under dark cloaks, but she could see the shape of extra limbs beneath the fabric. Their eyes glowed faintly in the darkness. Slowly reached up and removed her earbuds. She wrapped the cord around her phone and slipped it into her pocket. Her movements were calm, unhurried. Her face changed. The emptiness in her eyes shifted into something else, something cold, something hungry. Her body relaxed into a stance that looked casual but was anything but. The 3 assassins spread out, surrounding her. One of them spoke in broken human language. "You are the Silence. You will come with us. Commander wants you alive," but he did not say unharmed. Looked at each of them in turn. 3 elite killers trained since birth, armed with weapons that could cut through steel. They had traveled across the stars to find her. They thought they were the hunters. They were wrong. Lips moved. For the first time in 2 years, she spoke. Her voice was soft, barely above a whisper, rough from years of silence. "You found me." And then she smiled. It was not a nice smile. 5 years ago was not a university student. She was not quiet. She was not hiding. She was a weapon. The facility had no name on any map. It existed in the cold emptiness between stars, far from any planet, any civilization. The Galactic Federation built it in secret for one purpose: to create something the galaxy had never seen before. Human hunters. When humanity first joined the Federation 60 years ago, they were considered weak. Small bodies, short lives, no natural weapons. The other species looked at humans with pity or amusement. They gave humanity minor roles, small jobs, nothing important. Then the scientists made a discovery. Humans had a gift that no other species possessed. When pushed to the edge of death, when faced with impossible odds, humans could do something remarkable. They could turn off their fear completely. Their bodies would flood with chemicals that made them faster, stronger, and utterly without mercy. They became pure predators. The Federation called this ability the silence response, and they wanted to control it. The Reaper program took children, orphans, forgotten ones. Nobody would miss them. They trained these children from age 6. Combat, strategy, languages, torture, resistance. Kill methods for every known species in the galaxy. Most children died during training. Their bodies could not handle the pressure. Their minds broke under the weight. Did not break. By age 14, she had completed her first mission. By 15, she had killed her first general. By 17, she was the only survivor of her training group. 847 confirmed kills. She had destroyed pirate stations alone. She had walked into enemy bases and walked out covered in blood that was not her own. The galaxy learned a new word, the silence. When she arrived, everything went quiet, because everyone was dead. But something happened on her final mission. The Federation sent her to eliminate a research facility. Inside, she found something they had not told her about. Children. Children being experimented on, just like she had been experimented on as a little girl. She completed the mission. She killed the scientists, but she also killed her handlers. She burned her files. She destroyed every record of her existence. Then she disappeared. Now, 5 years later, 3 assassins stood before her on a dark soul street, and the silence woke up again. The first assassin moved fast, were quick, much quicker than humans. His 4 arms each held a blade, and he attacked from multiple angles at once. Was faster. She ducked under the first blade, twisted past the second, and drove her palm into his throat. The choked. In that moment of weakness, her hand found the knife hidden in her sleeve. The blade was thin, almost invisible, made of a material that could cut through anything. She opened his throat before he could scream. The second assassin roared and charged. He was bigger than the first. his body covered in natural armor. He swung a massive weapon, something like a hammer, aimed at her head. Did not try to block. She stepped into his attack, so close that the hammer passed behind her. Her knife found the soft spot under his arm where the armor did not reach. She cut deep, twisted, and pulled. He fell. The third assassin was smarter. He kept his distance, pulling out a weapon that glowed with energy. A gun of some kind, alien technology that could burn through walls. He fired. Was already moving. She rolled, grabbed the body of the second assassin, and used it as a shield. The energy blast hit the corpse and burned through it, but by then was gone. She appeared behind the third assassin like a ghost. He turned, but too slowly. Her knife entered the base of his skull, and his eyes went dark. 90 seconds, 3 elite killers, all dead. Stood among the bodies, breathing steadily. Her face showed nothing. No fear, no satisfaction, just emptiness. She pulled out her phone and called a number she had promised herself she would never use again. 30 minutes later, a black car arrived. A man stepped out. He was Korean, tall, with a serious face and tired eyes. His name was, and he worked for the Galactic Federation as a secret agent on Earth. He looked at the bodies, then his face went pale. "It's you," he whispered. "You're the silence." Did not answer. She wiped her knife clean on one of the bodies and slipped it back into her sleeve. Swallowed hard. He had studied her files at the academy. Everyone had. She was a legend, a nightmare story they told new recruits. He had never expected to meet her. He had never expected her to be so small, so young, so ordinary looking. "They'll send more," he said, fighting to keep his voice steady. "Don't give up, especially not Commander. You killed his brothers. He's been hunting you for years." Looked at him with those empty, dark eyes. Then she raised her hands and made a series of quick gestures. Military sign language, used by Federation Special Forces. "Understood," she signed. "Then I will kill more." "You can't fight an entire empire alone," he said. She signed again. "I already did. I'm still here. They are not." Had no answer for that. He helped her hide the bodies, clean the blood from the street, remove all evidence. As they worked in silence, he could not stop glancing at her. This small, quiet girl had killed more enemies than entire armies, and she did it without making a sound. When they finished, walked away without looking back. She returned to her small apartment near the university, took a shower, and went to bed. Tomorrow, she would sit in the cafeteria again. She would draw in her notebook. She would ignore the chattering of students around her. She would pretend to be normal. But the hunters were coming. More would follow. And deep inside her chest, in the place where her humanity used to live, the silence waited patiently, ready to wake up again. The days passed slowly, kept his promise. Every afternoon he sat across from in the cafeteria, talking about everything and nothing. She never answered, but she stopped wearing her earbuds when he was around. He considered this progress. "My sister is getting married next month," he said one day, eating his rice. "She wants me to give a speech. Can you imagine me giving a speech at a wedding? I'll probably say something stupid and embarrass the whole family." Turned a page in her notebook. She was drawing something new today, a flower, simple and delicate. Smiled. "You're a good listener, you know that. Most people interrupt, you just listen." For a brief moment, something flickered in his eyes, something soft. Then it was gone. At night, the hunters came again. This time there were 4 of them. They found her near the university library, walking alone in the darkness. They were more careful than the first team. They kept their distance, used formation tactics, covered each other's blind spots. It did not matter. Killed them in 2 minutes and 15 seconds. She was getting slower, she thought. The years of peace had made her rusty. She dragged the bodies into the shadows behind the library and called. As she waited for him, she heard footsteps. Stood at the corner of the building, his face white with shock. He had been studying late. He had seen her through the library window. He had followed her outside, wanting to walk her home safely. Instead, he saw everything. Stood completely still. Her clothes were splattered with violet blood. Her knife was still in her hand. Around her lay 4 alien bodies, their strange forms broken and lifeless. She waited for him to scream, to run, to call her a monster. Took a shaky breath. His hands trembled at his sides, but he did not run. "Are you okay?" he asked. The words hit like a physical blow. She stared at him, unable to understand. She had just killed 4 beings in front of him. She was covered in their blood, and his first question was about her. Nobody had ever asked her that. Not the trainers who beat her, not the commanders who sent her to die, not the doctors who cut her open and filled her body with combat implants. Not anyone in her entire life. She nodded slowly once. Walked toward her, stepping carefully around the bodies. His face was scared but determined. "What can I do? How can I help?" Did not know how to answer. She pointed at the bodies, then made a gesture like carrying something heavy. Together they moved the corpses deeper into the shadows. Gagged twice but did not stop. When arrived minutes later, he found them sitting side by side against the library wall, waiting in silence. Looked at with alarm. "Who is this?" He saw everything. Signed, "He is my friend, he stays." Wanted to argue, but something in her eyes stopped him. He had never seen that look before. It was almost protective. They cleaned up the scene together, took the bodies, walked back to her dormitory, neither of them speaking. At her door, he finally found his voice. "Those things, they weren't human." Shook her head. "And you killed them like it was easy." She hesitated, then nodded. Was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "I don't care what you are. I don't care what you've done. You're still the quiet girl who draws flowers in her notebook. You're still my friend." Felt something crack inside her chest. A wall she had built long ago, thick and strong, began to show small fractures. She reached out and touched his arm briefly. A small gesture, but for her it was enormous. Then she went inside and closed the door. Her roommate was waiting, was the opposite of in every way. Loud, cheerful, always talking. She had pink streaks in her hair and wore bright colors. She never stopped trying to make smile. Tonight her cheerfulness was gone. She sat on her bed with crossed arms and worried eyes. "Where have you been?" demanded. "You've been coming home late every night. You have bruises you try to hide. I'm not stupid. Something is wrong." Walked past her toward the bathroom. Stood up and blocked her path. "No, not this time. You're going to tell me what's going on. Are you in trouble? Are you in danger? Please just tell me something." Looked at her roommate. Had been kind to her for 2 years. She talked to even when never answered. She left snacks on his desk. She covered for when she missed morning classes. Pulled out her phone and typed a message. She showed the screen too. "I have enemies, dangerous enemies. You should stay away from me." Read the message. Her face went through several emotions. Fear, confusion, then something hard and stubborn. "No," said firmly. "I don't know what's happening, but you're my friend, my roommate. I'm not leaving you alone. Whatever this is, we face it together." Shook her head, typed again. "You don't understand. People near me get hurt. I am not safe." "I don't care," said. "I've decided you're stuck with me." Something broke inside then. The wall cracked further. Tears formed in her eyes, tears she had not cried in 10 years. She was supposed to be alone. She was supposed to be a weapon, nothing more. Weapons did not have friends. Weapons did not feel warmth when someone refused to abandon them. But here she was, crying silently while her roommate hugged her tight. The silence, the most feared killer in 12 star systems, wept like a child in the arms of a girl with pink hair. And somewhere far away, in a dark ship moving through space, Commander received news of his 4th failed team. His rage shook the walls. "Enough," he growled. "No more assassins, I will go myself." His officers trembled. "Commander, the risk. She killed my brothers. She destroyed my honor. I will tear her apart with my own hands, or I will die trying." The hunt was becoming personal now, and for the first time in her life, had something precious to lose. The message came at dawn. Every screen on Earth flickered, every phone buzzed, every television interrupted its broadcast. A face appeared, terrifying and alien. Commander was massive even by standards. His gray skin was covered in scars from 100 battles. His 4 arms were thick with muscle, and his eyes burned with ancient hatred. When he spoke, his voice was like grinding stones. "People of Earth, I am commander of the Empire. I come with a simple demand." He paused, letting fear spread across the planet. "Among you hides a human female. We call her the Silence. She is a murderer, a monster. She has killed thousands of my people, including my 3 brothers." Another pause. The world held its breath. "You have 12 hours to deliver her to me. If you do not, I will burn your city of Soul from orbit. 10 million humans will die. This is not a threat. This is a promise." The transmission ended. Chaos erupted across the planet. News channels screamed about the alien threat. People in Seoul panicked, flooding the streets, trying to escape. The government held emergency meetings. The military scrambled jets that could do nothing against a warship in space. Watched the broadcast from her small apartment. Her face showed no expression, but inside, something cold settled in her stomach. Burst through her door minutes later, breathless and scared. "Did you see? That alien, he's looking for you. We have to hide you, we have to." She held up her hand to stop him. Then she typed on her phone and showed him. "I can't hide. He will kill millions of innocent people." "There has to be another way," said desperately. "The Federation, the military, someone can stop him." Shook her head. She typed again. "The Federation has no fleet nearby. Earth's defenses are too weak. Nobody can save Seoul." "Then what do we do?" Looked at him for a long moment. Then she typed 3 words. "I surrender myself." "No," grabbed her shoulders. "No, I won't let you. There has to be another way. Please, please." She gently removed his hands. Her eyes were sad but calm. She had made peace with death long ago. She had expected to die on some distant battlefield, alone and forgotten. At least this way, her death would mean something. She left him standing there and walked to the Federation consulate downtown. Was waiting for her. His face was pale and exhausted. He had been awake all night, trying to find solutions that did not exist. "Don't do this," he said when he saw her. "We can find another way. We can negotiate." "Sign does not negotiate. He wants me. Only me." "He'll kill you." She signed. Maybe not. They have an honor code, single combat. If I challenge him directly, he cannot refuse. His eyes widened. "You want to fight him, alone? He's the greatest warrior in the Empire. He's killed Federation champions. He's unstoppable." His hands moved slowly, deliberately. "I was made for this. I was built to kill things that cannot be killed. Let me be what I am." "You're not just a weapon anymore," said softly. "You have friends now, people who care about you. Don't throw that away." For a moment something flickered in his eyes. Pain, longing, a wish for a different life. Then it was gone, replaced by cold determination. She walked to the communication console and transmitted a message to ship. "Commander, I am the Silence. I accept your challenge. Single combat, ancient rules. No weapons except what we carry. No outside help. If you win, you have your revenge and your honor. If I win, you leave Earth forever." The response came quickly. His voice dripped with eager hatred. "I accept, little human. Choose your place of death." The old Olympic Stadium, outside Seoul, midnight tonight. "The galaxy can watch me kill you." Brave words from a small creature. "I will enjoy breaking you slowly." The transmission ended. It was done. Word spread instantly. The greatest duel in galactic history would happen in hours. Humans and aliens across 1,000 worlds prepared to watch. Betting houses exploded with activity. Most odds favored heavily. Returned to her apartment to prepare. Was there, crying, begging her not to go. Hugged her tight, the first full hug she had given anyone in years. She typed on her phone, "Take care of yourself. You were the first person to treat me like a person, not a weapon. I will never forget that." Sobbed against her shoulder, "Please don't die, please come back." Made no promises she couldn't keep. As night fell, she put on her combat suit, simple black material, flexible and tough. She strapped her knife to her wrist. She looked at herself in the mirror. A small woman, young face, dark empty eyes. The most feared killer in 12-star systems. She walked out without looking back. On her desk she left a note for. "Thank you for seeing me as human. Thank you for sitting with me when I was alone. Thank you for not running away when you saw what I am. In another life, maybe we could have been something more. But this is the only life I have, and I must use it to protect the people I love. Goodbye." She disappeared into the night, walking toward the stadium where death waited. Behind her, arrived at her apartment and found the note. He read it once, twice, 3 times. His hands shook. Tears ran down his face. Then he grabbed his jacket and ran after her. He didn't know what he could do. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't strong. He was just an engineering student who talked too much. But he couldn't let her die alone. The stadium was empty and dark. Old seats rose in circles around a field of dead grass. Once, athletes had competed here for glory. Tonight, it would host a different kind of contest. Floating cameras surrounded the field, broadcasting to every corner of the galaxy. Billions of beings watched from their homes, their ships, their planets. They saw a small human woman walk alone into the center of the field and stand there, waiting. Then the sky cracked open. A shuttle descended like a falling star, landing hard enough to shake the ground. The door opened, and Commander stepped out. He was enormous, 8 feet tall, 4 arms, each one thicker than his entire body. His skin was covered in natural armor, gray plates that could stop bullets. His eyes blazed with red fire. In his hands he carried weapons that had ended worlds, a massive blade, a plasma whip, crushing gauntlets that could break steel. He looked at and laughed. The sound was ugly, full of contempt. "This," he roared, "this small thing killed my brothers. This weak creature destroyed my honor." Said nothing. She stood perfectly still, her knife in her hand, her eyes empty and calm. "I expected a warrior," continued, circling her slowly. "I expected a monster. Instead, I find a frightened child playing soldier. This will not even be satisfying." Still did not respond. She watched him move, studying his body, memorizing his patterns. Every step he took gave her information. Every gesture revealed a weakness. Lost patience, he charged. The ground shook with each step. He crossed the distance between them in 2 heartbeats, his blade swinging in an arc that could cut a building in half. Moved. She was not where the blade landed. She was beside him, then behind him, then gone again. Her knife flashed, leaving a thin line of violet blood on his arm. Roared with surprise and spun around. His plasma whip cracked through the air, burning everything it touched. Ducked, rolled, twisted away. She was like water flowing around stone. Every attack missed by inches. But she could not hurt him badly. His armor was too thick. Her knife cut his skin, but the wounds were shallow. She needed to find the weak spots, the gaps, the places where the armor did not reach. Adapted. He stopped trying to catch her with single strikes. Instead, he used all 4 arms at once, creating a storm of blades and energy. The air screamed with his attacks. Could not dodge everything. The plasma whip caught her leg. She stumbled, and his fist smashed into her side. She flew across the field, hit the ground hard, and rolled to a stop. Pain exploded through her body, Ribs cracked, her leg burned with chemical fire. Blood filled her mouth. Billions watched as the small human woman lay broken on the grass. "Get up," snarled, walking toward her slowly. "Get up so I can kill you properly. I want to see the fear in your eyes when you die." Pushed herself up. One arm hung useless at her side. Her breathing was wet and ragged. She looked like a corpse that had not yet fallen. But her eyes were not afraid. They were calculating, cold, patient. In the crowd outside the stadium, held back by Federation barriers, watched on a giant screen. Tears streamed down his face. He screamed her name, but she could not hear him. Stood beside him, clutching his arm, sobbing. Watched from the Federation observation post. His hands clenched so tight his knuckles were white. On distant worlds, humans who had never met prayed for her. For the first time, the galaxy saw what humanity looked like when it refused to surrender. Reached her and lifted his blade for the killing blow. Any last words? Little silence. Looked up at him. Blood ran down her face. Her body was broken. She had nothing left. And then she spoke. Her voice was rough, destroyed by years of silence and minutes of screaming pain. But every word was clear. Every word was broadcast across the galaxy. "You wanted to know why humans are feared." She moved, faster than should be possible, faster than her broken body should allow. The silence response flooded her system, shutting off pain, shutting off fear, shutting off everything except the need to kill. She slipped under his blade, inside his guard. Her knife found the gap under his arm where the armor plates met. She drove it deep. Screamed. She twisted the blade and pulled it free. Before he could recover, she was climbing his body like a spider. Her knife found another gap at his throat, another at his eye. He swung wildly, trying to throw her off. His massive hands grabbed her broken arm and pulled. The bone snapped completely. She did not even flinch. She pushed the knife deeper into his throat. "Because we don't know when to die," she whispered. Vel, the greatest warrior of the Empire, collapsed onto the dead grass, his blood soaking into the earth. His eyes stared up at nothing, slowly growing dark. Stood over his body, swaying on her feet. Her arm hung at a wrong angle. Her leg could barely support her weight. Blood covered her from head to toe. But she was alive. The galaxy went silent. Then, across 1,000 worlds, humans began to cheer. 3 months later, the cafeteria at university was loud and busy, just like always. Students laughed and complained about exams. Trays clattered. Life continued. In the corner near the window sat with her notebook. She was drawing again. Flowers mostly, simple and delicate. Her arm was still in a cast. Her leg still hurt when she walked, but she was healing, slowly. Slid into the seat across from her, carrying 2 cups of coffee. He placed one in front of her and smiled. "So," he said cheerfully, "you're a legendary killer who saved 10 million lives. Pretty impressive for someone who never talks." Looked up at him. A small smile touched her lips. She reached for her phone and typed a message. She showed him the screen. "Maybe I'll talk someday. For now, this is nice." Smile grew wider. "I can wait. I've gotten pretty good at one-sided conversations anyway." Appeared and dropped into the chair beside, chattering about her latest drama series. Sent a message saying the Federation wanted to give a medal, but she declined. She was done with that life. Outside the window, the sun was shining. Seoul was rebuilding. The galaxy was at peace, at least for now. And in a university cafeteria, surrounded by friends she never expected to have, the most merciless hunter in existence finally found something she had never known before. Home. She picked up her pencil and continued drawing. The flower on the page looked almost alive. Watched her with warm eyes. He didn't need her to speak. He didn't need her to explain. He just needed her to be here, safe, alive. The silence had returned to silence. But this time, it was a comfortable silence. A happy silence. an ending that felt like a beginning.